Hey, welcome to Seagrave Gaming. I'm Adam, and here's another video. Today we're talking about Dungeons of Eternity. This is a fantasy VR co-op dungeon crawler, and it's a ton of fun. Let's talk about the story and the setting. There's minimal story, but you've discovered a planet of dungeons that you have to go scout out, and you do that with the help of a drone who will extract you back to your safe zone hub town. So you spend a lot of your time in the hub town, which is a medieval castle, and from there you can launch dungeons. When you pick your dungeon, you get to select a difficulty tier. So Dungeons of Eternity is a physics-based RPG dungeon crawler with co-op and elements of extraction games. Now, you don't drop your loot when you die, so that's good. But what I mean by elements of extraction games is that you spawn into a procedurally generated dungeon and you need to get from point A to point B, and you'll pick up loot along the way. The fact that you don't drop your gear when you die is the thing that sets it apart from other extraction. And it's not really an extraction game because of that, but it's got elements. Every chest that you open in a dungeon will stay unlocked for you. You'll collect that gear even if you die or exit from the dungeon. So that's really nice. There's an element of progression there that doesn't go away if you fail the dungeon, and you will fail the dungeon. The game gets pretty challenging sometimes, especially on higher difficulties. But even at low difficulty, on the very first tier, there are some bosses that are very challenging. The most challenging of these bosses is the Skeleton Knight. He's got a great sword, he's easily recognizable, and he only takes damage to the face. You heard me right. You can't attack his body, his arms, nothing. He only takes damage to the face. This is especially difficult as a new player, as you're trying to get your bearings and understand the combat system. And the combat system isn't quite as responsive as something like Blade and Sorcery, for example. I've noticed sometimes your weapons in Dungeons of Eternity, or DOE, sometimes your weapons will whiff. What I mean by whiff, it looks like it connects, but no damage happens. So I've found with stabbing and sometimes just swinging your weapon, they will look like it connects, but it doesn't always connect. Anyway,
Invisibility.
all that to say,
Invisibility.
the physics-based combat system in this game is really well done. I only compare it to Blade and Sorcery because I think that's really the benchmark for great VR melee combat, and we're not quite there yet with Dungeons of Eternity. And I don't know that they're going to continue updating the game necessarily. So let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay loop's really fun, but this one boss is really challenging. You can see I'm using a fireball staff and I keep shooting him, but I'm hitting him in the back of the head, not the face. So it just doesn't count as a hit register. Oh, he froze me. Oh, man. One of the real defining features of Dungeons of Eternity that sets it apart from other VR games is the progression. This is a classic RPG. You start with basic weapons, no skills, and as you level up, you collect better and better gear, different weapon types, spells, abilities, and you're upgrading your character along the way. We've got all of the staple RPG arsenal. You've got axes, swords, bows, spears. There's magic items like staves that can cast spells. You can do fire magic, ice magic, gravity magic. You can heal and revive your friends with a staff. And there's no classes in DOE, but you do have 3 weapon slots. So you've got 2 on your belt, which are holsters, and you have another weapon slot on your back. But the back slot is really what defines your class. So items that can go on your back are the bow, the staff, the shield, and a greatsword or other two-handed weapon. And that's really what makes a class in this game. And all in all, the controls and the core gameplay are very solid. The game is a ton of fun to play. It's very straightforward and intuitive, and it's polished as well. I've been playing on the Valve Index and it looks great. The graphics are nice. It's a little bit simplistic, I guess, but I think that's because simplicity allows for a great amount of polish. And the fact that this is a co-op multiplayer game with online means that there are some sacrifices that need to be made, graphics or complexity, to account for that multiplayer element. Now, you don't have to play multiplayer, it's optional co-op. And what I like to do when I start up the game is I'll always host my own game so that I can play solo, but I'll enable two settings, which are only allow people to join if they're a similar level to me, and allow people to join while I'm in a dungeon. And then I'll just play, and as long as you're playing at peak hours, you will find a party. There's a lot of people that play this game. It's very active as far as VR games go. If you're new to VR, or you've never tried it, or you're thinking about getting into VR, the truth is VR is a small piece of the gaming industry. It's a niche, or if you're American, a niche, and it hasn't grown to the popularity that maybe people would have expected by 2025. It's not to say it's not popular, but VR is a niche because it's expensive. The hardware is expensive, it always has been. That's been changing a lot lately. I mean, there are much more affordable VR systems available today than there was 5-10 years ago. But I play on the Valve Index, and I'm really looking forward to see the new Valve frame or Steam frame, whatever they're calling it. The new VR system from Valve looks great, and it seems like a big upgrade from the Index. But DOE was ported from MetaQuest over to PCVR, and with that we got some graphics updates as well as other stuff, and that's when I got into this game. I just heard about it not too long ago. I heard it was coming to Steam and I had to check it out. I love dungeon crawlers and I love VR. From a performance standpoint, the game runs great. Now, my PC specs, I'll tell you, I'm running a RTX 3080, 32 gigs of RAM, and as I mentioned, the Valve Index, and I'm having no issues. The game runs great, smooth. I haven't had any crashes. I haven't really noticed any bugs either. Now, the game's been out for a long time on Quest, so they've had plenty of time to fix bugs and polish and things like that. But yeah, I have no real complaints about the performance. My only real complaint with the game so far has just been that skeleton knight boss that I mentioned, because you start fighting him right from level 1. The bosses are randomized per dungeon, so you won't always see him. But when you do fight him, especially in the beginning, he's tough. Now, doubling back on the gameplay a bit, throwing weapons are overpowered. Comparing to melee, throwing weapons are so effective, even comparing to a bow or a staff. The reason being is aim assist. So when you throw a weapon, well, it only applies to certain weapons. So it applies to axes, hammers, and daggers, and javelins. When you throw an axe, it goes right to its target. And that skeleton boss, you need throwing weapons to beat him, basically. I mean, you don't, but I'm not at the point yet where I'm beating him with melee. He's very difficult. All that said, the parrying and blocking in this game works very well. If you hold up your weapon, enemies will try to hit you and they'll hit your weapon instead, and it blocks all the damage. But what it doesn't block is if your body touches an enemy. This is actually the other main complaint I have about this game, and it's probably worse than the skeleton boss. If any part of your virtual body touches an enemy's body, you will take damage. I hate this feature. It's a terrible feature for a VR game, in my opinion. I kind of get why they did it. It was for balance, so that melee wouldn't just attack as fast as possible, be able to just end every enemy that way. But I don't really see other VR games doing this, and I don't think it's necessary. It's hard enough to block enemy attacks already, but if you just accidentally move an inch too close and your body clips through the body of a skeleton, you're taking damage for that, even though they haven't swung at you. I just find it a very obtuse feature. It's unintuitive. It's not present in other VR games that I'm familiar with, and it's my biggest gripe in the game, closely followed by the skeleton knight boss who only takes damage to the face. Do I recommend Dungeons of Eternity? Hell yeah. You should go play this game. If you've got VR and you haven't tried Dungeons of Eternity, give it a go. It is so much fun. Everyone I've played with, well, I shouldn't say everybody, every adult that I've played with has been great, helpful, talkative, and it's been a real joy meeting people from all over the world while we slay skeletons together and find treasure chests and work together to solve puzzles. There are puzzles in the dungeons that I neglected to mention earlier, and people have been so kind and helpful. Why did I specify the adults have been great to play with? Well, you know how little kids are. It's an online game. If you've played virtual reality online, you know what I'm talking about. There's little kids in there who are screaming, who are loud, repetitive, and sometimes annoying. And you know what? It's fine. I haven't had any real issue playing with anybody, but you know, when you're playing video games online, you're gonna encounter little kids. Anyway, in conclusion, seriously, try this game out. It's one of my favorite VR games right now. I think it's one of the highest quality VR experiences you can have right now because it's a co-op dungeon crawler. This is exactly perfect type of VR game. This is what I dreamed of as a little kid, thinking about one day virtual reality will be real. You'll put a helmet on and be inside the video game. And that's where we are right now. So the VR industry isn't exactly where enthusiasts might like it to be at this stage, 2025, but it's growing slower than projected. But DOE is just such a great example of a well-executed concept that's perfect for VR. Getting together with 4 buddies, just trying to survive in the dungeon and make it to the end and get something valuable along the way. But the real value is the friends we met along the way. If you liked this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. I'm going to be dropping more reviews like this every week. We look at a lot of extraction shooters, we look at RPGs, we look at some VR games on this channel. And that's my initial impressions of Dungeons of Eternity. It's definitely worth picking up on MetaQuest or PCVR, and maybe I'll see you in the dungeon. I'm Adam, and this is Seagrave Gaming.